Welcome back to Math 103. This is video number 12 on measuring power. Last time we were discussing the weighted voting system with quota 10, weights 7, 5, 3, and 2 belonging to players A, B, C, and D respectively, and we were looking at the sequential coalition CBDA, the players written in that specific order, and therefore we are thinking about the coalitions C alone, followed by C and B together, followed by C, B, and D, followed by the Grand Coalition. And our question is, on this list of coalitions, which is the first one that actually amounts to a winning coalition? Well, let's just recall our quota and weights, 10, 7, 5, 3, 2. C alone has weight 3, not winning. C and B together have total weight 8. Again, not enough to win, but C, B, and D together do have enough to win. They have enough total votes to win. So this is the first winning coalition on our list, and we conclude, therefore, that D is the pivotal player. D is the one player whose arrival on the scene made all the difference, transforming what was not yet a winning coalition into a winning coalition. From the viewpoint of Shapley and Shubik, D is the one who is exercising real influence here. In general, a sequential coalition is officially just a listing of the players in a particular order, for example ABCD or CBDA, with the important understanding that each different ordering of the players gives us a different sequential coalition. There are as many different sequential coalitions as there are different orderings of these letters, in other words, as many as there are different quote-unquote words spelled with the letters A, B, C, and D. And as we've indicated, this notation with angle brackets describes a specific scenario, which means that this sequential coalition is describing a different political scenario than that sequential coalition. In this sequential coalition, in this scenario, C is specifically the first player to decide to vote yes on a motion, and then other people join in. In this scenario, A is the first player to decide to vote yes, and then other players join in. Now, it's important to note that in this scenario, where C is the first player to decide to vote yes on the motion under discussion, and then B votes yes, and then D joins in and votes yes, and finally A joins in and votes yes, eventually, by the time everyone's voting yes, there must be a winning coalition. Maybe there was a winning coalition sooner, but somewhere along the way, someone made the difference, turning what wasn't yet a winning coalition into a winning one. So the notion of winning coalition is still important here. We've been looking so far at examples with 4 players, but this notion makes sense for any number of players. So no matter how many players there are, the pivotal player is the one whose influence plays a pivotal role in getting this piece of legislation or proposal or whatever it is passed. That player in a specific sequential coalition is the one player, the one and only one, whose act of joining the coalition thus far, in other words, all the players written from the left up to a certain point, okay, where they are not yet a winning coalition. So the player who joins in at that particular moment, and then as a result, now you do have a winning coalition. Whoever is that one player who makes that difference, that's the pivotal player. Okay. Now it's important that in every sequential coalition, there is one and only one pivotal player. That is different from the situation with winning coalitions. When we were doing the Banzhaf analysis before, there were some winning coalitions that had no critical players. Some of them had everyone in the coalition critical. Here, in a sequential coalition, you are guaranteed to find one and only one pivotal player. pivotal always means pivotal in that sequential coalition. There's no such thing as being pivotal in general, there's only pivotal in a specific sequential coalition. Just as a comprehension check, it's useful to ask the following question: what conclusion can we draw if the first player in a sequential coalition is pivotal? Right? So we are looking at some number of players, whoever they are. I'll make up some new letters. How about Y, W, Z, X, U, however many players there are? What would it mean if that first player is pivotal? Pause the video and think about that for a moment before going on. If that first player is pivotal, it must mean that that player is a dictator. That's the conclusion that follows if it turns out that the first player in a sequential coalition is pivotal. Because that would mean that if we cover over everyone else here and imagine that just Y is the one voting yes, only Y so far supports this proposal, and already that's enough to make it pass, then that means that Y is a dictator. Y is a one-person winning coalition. Now, to practice finding pivotal players in sequential coalitions, let's recall our motivating example in this chapter, a 3-member advisory committee to the New Jersey governor, set up with quota 5 and weights 4, 3, and 2. Remember, this was set up so that the weights would be proportional to the populations of northern, central, and southern New Jersey, whom we denote N, C, and S. The representatives are denoted N, C, and S. So we can ask, who is the pivotal player in each of the following sequential coalitions? If Central Jersey votes yes for something, initially only Central Jersey supports it, then Southern joins in, then Northern joins in, then who was pivotal here? Whose arrival on the scene as a yes voter made all the difference to getting the proposal passed? One way to think it through is to start at the very left of the sequential coalition, focusing just on C and asking, does C have enough votes to pass this proposal? No, C does not. Therefore, we continue in a left-to-right way, looking now at C and S and asking, do C and S have enough votes to pass this law, this proposal? Yes, they do, and since they do, that makes S the pivotal player. S is the one whose arrival made all the difference to passing the proposal. In the same way, we can look at a different sequential coalition, S, then N, then C, and carry out the same analysis, looking just at S and asking, does S alone have enough votes to win? No, S does not. Therefore, we look at S and N and ask, now are there enough votes to win? Is there large enough total weight to win? And yes, S and N together have enough votes to win. Yes, they do. S and N together form a winning coalition, which S alone did not. Therefore, N is pivotal in this sequential coalition. N is the one whose arrival on the scene makes all the difference. Another version of this advisory committee that we considered had it set up as quota 6 and still weights 4, 3, and 2. Before going on to the next video, first write out all the different sequential coalitions. You might think, how many do there need to be? Write out all sequential coalitions and underline the pivotal player in each one.